Sci-Fi-Fantasy and Geek Culture. I'm Michael Seven Michael, and today we have in the studio
Dayveonne Bussey.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about a couple of different movies, a couple of different shows. We got Blood and Bone, we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's so many Texas Chainsaw Massacres. We've got Drive My Car, Shaolin on Prime. I'll mention that, and the Tomorrow World Prime. Yeah, that's what we got. That's what we got. So let's go into Blood and Bone, because that is a kung fu flick that most of us got to see.
Martial arts, not kung fu. Kung fu.
Debatable.
Well, you know what? Well, why do you say that? That's interesting.
Because there's a difference between martial arts and kung fu. Martial arts is the basic strikes, and kung fu is more of a dance technique format. So if I'm an MMA fighter, I could be considered a martial artist, but not kung fu.
Correct, right? Because it's not the traditional moves and stuff like that.
However, Michael Jai White did use kung fu moves in the movie. So is it a kung fu movie? I think it is a kung fu movie because if the hero uses kung fu, it therefore is a kung fu movie.
This is true.
It's very debatable, but still a martial arts film.
No, because all right, a martial arts film is like you're saying, it's all encompassing by the different disciplines, right? But if the hero of the story is using one style to take care of all the other styles, it therefore then is a kung fu movie that shows its superiority against all the other disciplines.
Well, I think like Blood and Bone. I think that it was pretty cut and dry. And actually, it stays true to the classic kung fu films, actually. Because you have the revenge. You know, it's always like my teacher, my friend, my brother, some sort of revenge plot thing going on. And it stayed true to that. But there were some brawling techniques as well added with the kung fu choreography. So I think that's a very interesting conversation. We should actually have some guests, and further, I'm curious to see, if you get, maybe we should get someone that did a bunch of martial arts films and someone that did quote unquote kung fu films and see what they say.
Right.
So that'd be great.
Because that'll help analyze our theory whether it was a martial art film or a kung fu film.
Well, that's your theory. That's your theory.
Whatever, Michael, but we can continue on.
So no, I thought it was a great movie. Great is a strong word. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. The acting was good. The characters, I knew where they were coming from. There were a couple jumps in developing the relationship with the characters, I thought.
Right.
So he's basically, we see a gentleman in jail, he gets out of jail, and he comes out on a mission. And he comes out on a mission, not without giving too much of a way to basically make things right. And I don't know, would you guys recommend that film?
Yes, I would recommend that film due to the fact that if you basically like stuff where it's not too much of a story driven, but you want to see the different styles of fighting techniques and how brawling can connect with real life situations, and also y'all so-called kung fu and martial arts in this time and age, definitely see Blood and Bone.
I will say, if you like a timeless classic, just like kung fu, because the disciplines never change throughout time. You always have the higher road and the morals and lessons that they teach are timeless. This movie has shown that it could withstand the test of time. So you can always go back and rewatch this movie and like what it is. And yeah, just like kung fu.
Yeah. Timeless.
It's a movie, yes.
Timeless. Now, there's so many Texas Chainsaw movies.
Yes.
I get confused. This one was interesting because it said Texas Chainsaw 3D, but it wasn't in 3D. So maybe it was released in 3D? That's like the official title.
That's what the initial title said. Because when I saw it, it said Netflix presents the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's just saying this is their version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's like a sequel.
It's like a sequel to the.
When it premiered in theaters, it was 3D.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that now too.
So
They take the 3D version and they just kind of like, I guess, remaster it. It would be nice if you could stream the 3D stuff.
Well,
classes have that experience.
It's coming back because remember when I want to say 10, 15 years ago when they tried to push this whole watch 3D at home, you can have 3D glasses at home and have the compatible 3D TV in your house. With virtual reality, I think that's going to be the next iteration. So you can watch these 3D movies with your Oculus.
Wow.
Interesting.
Can you imagine that being immersed in Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Nope. Not in no 3D. Nope.
There's a couple movies that I don't think I could watch it in 3D.
Maybe at the theater, but not home. Not in no Oculus either, because you've seen the stories where people had their Oculus and playing games and they thought and their body start moving. And they run into walls and stuff. But
I think as long as you have like an actual character like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm fine. Just like Scream, as long as you know someone's there chasing you with a knife. When it comes to like the supernatural, I will not be able to do it.
Now they did something interesting because I think this is one of the first films where they really kept with the times. Like almost like as far as like fundraising, flipping houses, almost everything that you could think of with pop culture along with cell phones. You know, like usually when you see these movies, the deepest they get is you have a cell phone, the cell phone goes out, there's no service. I felt that this particular version of Texas Chainsaw, they actually incorporate all these other vibes, like occupations and things that were trending, and I thought that was different. Did you guys pick that up? Did you have the same feeling, or
yes? No? Yes. Also, I also picked up a lot of political stance on certain things, especially with the times that was going on 2021 and 2020, with the whole Confederate flag and stuff like oh, take the Confederate flag down. That's offensive. And it's like, yes, it is offensive. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, people have the right, freedom of speech, freedom of choice. I do not feel like I have the right to basically demean them because of their choices.
Okay.
But it's just a lot of political stance. It's a lot of...
They threw in there, right. They said that they threw a lot of stuff in there. Corey, did you have that same reaction, or you just... Not
so for I didn't watch
just the fact that they put these things in the... Do you feel that it was shoved in the film? I guess that's what... Did it feel natural, or that it just made it more modern?
I don't know, because I didn't watch the movie for once.
Oh,
I didn't watch the movie.
Oh, you didn't watch it. Okay, well...
I was like...
It's okay. I didn't know.
It doesn't matter, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, like as long as whatever medium or vehicle they use to get people into the house, you're just dealing with the guy with the chainsaw. So I just thought it's the same movie, just redone over. I didn't watch it.
But here's the kicker. It wasn't done at the original house.
Bum, bum, bum. Whoopsie. Does that matter? You're getting chased around a house with by a deranged maniac with a chainsaw?
It does, because if you really think about the origin stories and the history of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of those people were killed in the house or in the fields. This one takes place in the town next to the house in the fields. And it's abandoned. And also he was living someplace else, hiding his identity.
If you use the same logic for any other movie, like Amityville Horror, it didn't happen in the Amityville Horror house. It happened down the street from the house. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
And I get you, but it was a different take, which I'm like, okay, because remember, the police had a problem finding him after those massacres at the location of the house and stuff.
And the same thing, the house told the guy to kill everyone in the house. It's Amityville Horror. It's the same thing. So I feel like, why watch it?
No, it's a good watch. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's something different. It was something unique. Did it have its problems? Yeah, because like I'm going to be honest. Like the
No lie.
gore scene, the gore, the gore scenes were phenomenal. I'm just going to ignore him, audience, every time he say, "Oh no, lie." So the kill scenes were epic. It's just that ending kill scene was the most epic kill, but it was the stupidest way to die. But it was epic still.
Yeah, I would say it was a good start. It was an interesting middle. There was not that much going on. There was not that many sets, which, from a production standpoint, I think they did a lot with a little. But the ending was just, why did we go there? It could have been such a better ending.
I
Like
have a
the
question.
ending, yes.
Was it M. Night Shyamalan tier kind of ending, or was it worse?
It
No, it
was.
was.
I wanted to make a horror film, but I want to keep it going. But I lazily want to keep it going. Where
Yeah.
they should have just put a fork in it and called it a day. Because we're not going to revisit this. It wasn't good enough to revisit. Like,
No. It. To be honest with you, there
No
was
lie.
an end credit, and I'm going to ignore him again. There was an end credit. I'm not going to leave any spoil. I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen the film. Just know there is a possibility they're probably going to do a third one.
Instead of 3D, it's going to be a 4D. Ooh.
Yeah, but I could agree with your sentiment that there was no need to really do this film, but yet that's like, hey, we got a bunch of them, and let's put out some more. So I know we didn't rate the other movie, but this one, I definitely think it's, if you got nothing to do and you have a bunch of movies you want to watch, you can throw this in between there. But it's like a warm up to like the movie you really want to watch.
Right. So I would say probably like a 3.
Oh, wow, that's high. That's good. I would say 1.5.
It wasn't that bad.
I was actually going to go in the middle. Like, if you like the franchise, then definitely watch it. But for me, just knowing the franchise and where it goes, I'll just give it a 2 offhand. You can watch it if that's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the franchise pretty much, so I'll say a 3. That's just.
We also have to give a shout out to Signal Dog for the recommendation of Blood and Bone. And
Yes.
if we give a rating, I definitely give that a 3.5.
Yeah.
And I'll be with Corey on that one. I do give it a 3.5.
3.5 all around. Let's do it.
Is that the first time that's happened?
It's the first time.
Yeah.
That's the first time. Okay, so Drive My Car. Now, I didn't finish it only because subtitles. You have to read. You have to literally. You got to stay there. You can't miss a beat. And there's so many psychological nuances that the writing is really good. You know, I mean, that's one thing where it's really developing the characters and in there, and you can't miss a beat. You miss a beat, you're missing part of the story. So that's the only reason why I didn't get through it. But so far, I like it. I would like to actually table it for later on if we can really do a full thing on that, because it's a very interesting foreign film. It's a Japanese film, and it starts out with this couple, and you're like, what's going to happen next? And then this guy's an actor. He's a writer and an actor. And then the wife is a writer. And you see their relationship grow. And there's all these twists come up, but they come up really, really slow. So if you need something fast-paced, this is not the movie for you. If you don't want to read, not the movie for you. Of course, if you speak Japanese, then it's not a problem. but so far I could say it's good. So Corey, why did you suggest this film?
I was answering one of your previous questions because you gave us the question of what film have you ever seen that really dove into the emotional aspect of the film? And I answered at that time Squid Game. However, I have to change my answer to this movie. This movie is Oscar nominated, and I can see why. It is a 3 hour long movie with a lot of long monologues, but the heart of the movie is a lot of questions that I think people didn't even know they had. What is morality? What is love? Uh, what is human nature? And all of these things were beautifully displayed in this movie. I feel as though a lot of times when it comes to Oscar nominated movies, there's a certain message or a certain depiction of a movie that gets passed along through the Oscars, and this is a completely different choice. And I applauded this even being nominated, and I hope it wins.
I can dig it. Alrighty, Shaolin. There are tons of movies with this title, Shaolin.
Yeah. Yes.
This particular one is with Jackie Chan.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it came out 2011.
Yes.
And I'm amazed at how beautiful this was shot. And it's back in 2011. Just what was done visually and this world building of, you start out with this warring class of individuals that are connected. At first you think they're related, but then they're related by like the bond is almost like a fraternal type of bond kind of a thing, and it grows, and then you have one side betraying another, and it just starts building, and then you, at least from my mind, I start thinking, what time period is this? So it puts you in this false sense of time in China, but it definitely mimics something that could really have happened. And then you have this European influence of just wanting to build a railroad and just, that whole imperial pushing ourselves and putting basically people of color against each other while we're doing this over here. And there's so many messages of loyalty and love and forgiveness and hate and patience and peace. And I don't see that in a lot of martial arts films. There's a lot of different elements, but I've never seen all of this historical, emotional stuff in one place. And that's why I suggested to watch it. And I don't know if you guys got that same takeaway. Again, and we try to give reviews where we don't want to give away too much. There's sometimes where we just, hey, this is what happened. But it was so beautifully done in general, just for the audience. We kind of want to inspire you guys to watch these things that we enjoy or didn't enjoy. But anyway, so what do you guys think of Shaolin?
So far from what because I'm only like almost towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And story-wise, it's really good. Like, it gives you that sense of historic background of war. Like, there is a divide within the family type structure of only different particular parts of China or certain areas. And then you have the monks, which I like in the beginning when they're standing right next to the bodies and they're praying for the people that were dead, that they'd be at peace. It was like so like the art of the visual, the art of cinematography was on point when it comes to this film. So, and also the emotions and that you see in this film, it was very impactful.
I feel a little different. Yeah, I watched this movie. I would disagree that when you look at Asian films, depending on the area, whether you watch a Korean film, a Chinese film, or a Japanese film, there are certain themes. And in Chinese films that I've seen, the same theme that is in Shaolin are in a bunch of other Chinese films that I've seen, like the loyalty, the structure of having someone so close to you, you call them your brother, even though you're not related by blood, and the different aspects of the West versus East, everything that you were saying. I've seen this a lot in Chinese films, so I don't think it's anything new, especially for 2011. But overall, for this movie, I will agree. Like the way it was shot, the certain scenes that they chose to depict certain messages was um, really good, actually. So if you get a chance to watch certain movies, I feel as though you miss good filmmaking because there are subtitles. Like Drive My Car in this movie. If you watch it for what it is, it's still an enjoyable ride.
Right. And I agree. I'm definitely not going to defend on originality with these themes, but the execution. Because a lot of times the martial arts is not on par with the story, or it's not on par with the cinematography, or it's not on par with the character development. So, because even Squid Games, which has become a cultural phenomenon,
A world phenomenon.
a world phenomenon. Yeah, you could tear it down and say certain things or draw it out to this, to this. I think the pacing of that definitely needed work, while the pacing of this film was pretty solid. I would give it a 3.7.
Due to the fact that I, when you're trying to focus on the film and the subtitles, with me, I will put it down to a 3.3.
Oh wow. Now, do you remember the? See, that's the thing. I always try to remember other movies. If you notice, I don't really give things that high because I always try to remember other films. Actually, we should. You know what? We should do that. We should look at other reviews. Like, how dare you put that higher than you gave this other one? All right, Corey, what would you give it?
I feel as though if, for some reason, especially for it being a 2011 film, if Jet Li were in this movie, I would have given it a 4. But because of that, I have to give it a 3.5. I'm right in the middle of you guys. 3.5.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
I'll take
Because,
it.
but here's the other thing. I'm going to add this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that much martial arts in this film. It was more story driven than it was martial arts.
Mm-hmm. And that bothered you, or?
No, it didn't. It actually flowed because it really focused on the message and the story than fighting. It didn't have that much fighting in it.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I disagree because fighting and martial arts, I think, are two different things. And there is a lot of martial arts, especially when you look at the Buddhist message that they're trying to portray and tell you how to reach enlightenment through martial arts, through one's heart. You do have martial art movements, but there isn't as much fighting as I think that's what you're trying to say. But
yeah, it's not that much fighting as it would be normally in any type of film like this. That's basically you think, oh, it's going to be martial arts in this film.
But I kind of feel like that's a little stereotypical because it's a Chinese film. It doesn't have to be full of martial arts. There are other elements in this movie that are really done well, and the martial arts that actually are in here are pretty good, pretty solid. They have really good scenes, especially for a 2011 film. You're like, they were doing this back then. It was unheard of. So
Yeah. I think it was. I think it was great. I don't think it was lacking.
No, and I'm not saying it was. Yeah, and I'm not saying it was lacking. I'm just saying, for it to be focused more story driven, you didn't see that much of the fights in that film. You saw
because
more.
fight wasn't the message of the movie.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't the message. You still got interest in the film, but I want people to realize don't go into this film looking to see martial arts and fight scenes.
Well, I think that's the whole message of Shaolin. Shaolin is more than just martial arts. So if you watch karate films and you know a lot about Shaolin, then this falls right into that message.
Yeah, I think that's why it's I would say a perfect film, but
Perfect.
it's close enough just because everything was in sync. The character
Yeah.
development, the story, the in fact, you really shouldn't I mean, unless it's a how-to fight film, the documentary, I think that's why they did it right because the whole point of a story is not just the fighting. Like it has to be strategic. And I think that every fight scene in there was strategic. It actually pushed the story along. I think when the fights don't push the story along, that's when you have a bad movie.
Right.
You know what? I'm gonna change my answer because, like we're talking about, and the more I think about it, you're right. It is a reason to fight, and that's like the whole message. You don't fight for fighting's sake. You're fighting with yourself. You're fighting with other people, and so I'm going to raise it from 3.5 to 4.
Yeah, I've had to put it to 3.9.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it at 3.5 now.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we keep talking, I might end up with 4 like you, Corey, because I mean, now thinking back of it, it's perfectly placed. The only thing that you could, if there's some lighting or a costume thing, that's the only thing I'm like, now I got to think back. Was there some sort of technical thing that didn't make it perfect? But as far as the intent and storytelling, it was almost a perfect film, if not.
How about this? Why don't we just leave this rating a question mark? And
Listen,
we just
it's
try.
on you. We're not trying to change your mind. Whatever you think, you
finish the film and get back to us.
Yeah, you believe there was not enough, and that's okay. That's okay.
No. It wasn't about the fight. That's what I was saying. It's just flowed like y'all said. I think the way I said it didn't come out correct.
Yeah.
Like I said, it did. I wanted the people that's viewing this to understand that don't go into this looking for, oh, it's Kung Fu or it's Shaolin. Oh, there's going to be fight scenes in this film.
But there were amazing fight scenes in the film, though.
Yeah, but no, it is amazing fight scenes, but just to let them know it's more story driven than you will see fights.
It's more Shaolin.
Yeah.
I don't want to say but message and lesson.
Well, Corey, you said so. Listen, I mean, if you see a movie title and you just go in just for that, then you need to look at yourself. You need to look at yourself. Because that's a very But listen, we can't cater to someone's lack of movies are to tell stories.
Right.
So if you don't go in for the story, then what are you going for?
But some people
I'm not worried about them. I don't.
Look, you can't say you don't. These are our views.
No. That's what you do. That's what you do. I can't worry about it. That's right. I stay my stance, and you could write comments if you. It's all good.
Watch more anime. Put your eyes used to looking at 2 things at once.
Say it again.
Oh wow.
Watch more anime so you can get your eyes looking at 2 things at once.
You know what I mean? No, but that's good. That you made a really good point. And there is a lot of stereotypical views of different films and this and that. I mean, because even, people with horror films, I think that's why they came up with gore films, because there are people that just go for the blood and the guts.
Gore. Yeah.
But a film is the whole point of a film is to tell a story.
Yeah, but
you see Star Wars just for the special effects.
You'll be surprised. There's a lot of people that do.
Again, you could, but in general, it's a story. You know what I mean?
No, and I agree with you. But these are the audiences that we have today. That
did we give Drive My Car a rating?
What I've seen so far was great. It's already at a 3 for me, and that's only seeing like less than a third because it's really long.
It's a 3-hour movie, so go in knowing that. However,
and just for cable time, you're watching GEEKCASTER. We're going to end right here. If you're on Twitch, we're going to keep going. But yeah, go to GeekCaster.com if you want to watch this again. Otherwise, you're watching this on cable. Thank you for watching and enjoy. Yes.